There's still so much more from the weekend we haven't yet gotten to cover. We're very lucky that joining us to help do that is Roland Martin, host of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Roland, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
It's as good as it can be in America. But we're very glad to have you here.
The bar is low, it's going well.
Yeah. So very excited to have you here for the first time. And I wanted to start off by talking about one of, there was a couple of people announcing they'd be running for president the past week. The most recent was Julian Castro, the former mayor of San Antonio and Secretary of HUD under Barack Obama. What do you think about his chances and how he could help to shape the primary based on his experience?
Well, it's no surprise that he decided to run for president. I always said you're going to have anywhere from 12 to 14 people who are going to be running for president. Certainly, he is young, he's Latino. He brings the credibility of being a former mayor, but also, of course, HUD secretary. What I am surprised, though, is that you did not see him building some sort of grassroots initiative over the last 2 or 3 years, specifically when it comes to driving Latino voters. This year's election is also going to be a lot different because in the past it's always been about Iowa and New Hampshire. But because other states moved up their primaries and then their early voting starts. So for instance, before they even go to vote in Iowa, early voting will already started in California. And so this totally dramatically changes the map. And I think it actually favors candidates who are Black and Latino because frankly, you're not pretty much living in two all white states. Or nearly all white states.
Yeah, I think that is a huge factor that I actually have not heard talked about very often, but that is going to be absolutely massive. I did want to ask you, so Castro announced, we had Tulsi Gabbard like a day before. You've covered multiple elections. We're getting started very early. The debates start in like 3 days. I don't know, it's like 6 months or whatever, but very early. How do you think this really long extended primary could influence the candidate we end up with?
Yeah, but it's not actually that long. So you're only talking about being moved up a month. Remember, in 2008, Hillary Clinton announced her exploratory committee in January. Then Senator Barack Obama unveiled his campaign in Springfield, Illinois. It was cold as hell that day I was there in February. And so we're really only talking about it being moved up anywhere from 3 weeks or so. And so we saw what that looked like in 2008 when you had a significant number of candidates. Remember, we had debates in the month of July in 2008. And I have to remind everybody, Obama was raising lots of money, but he was far behind Hillary Clinton all the way through, I think it was around August or September. And then everything changed at the debate in Iowa when she was asked the question about driver's licenses for undocumented workers. And so that's what changed it. And so this is no surprise. I think actually it helps Democrats because remember, when you have this many people with this much runway, what they're doing is appealing to various constituencies. And so they are getting them excited. They're operating as volunteers, as donors. And so it helps the party because you're expanding the number of people who you're trying to reach to come out and vote.
Hey, Roland, good morning. I maybe have kind of a two-parter question. I wanted your thoughts on the picture that went viral this weekend of CBS's election team of reporters and producers. And then what kind of ties into that, I wonder, as an example of like the importance of diversity, the Washington Post reporter, because I know you're an alpha, and the Washington Post reporter that went viral with her, I would say like just negative comments on what we know is the AKA skiwi, but she called it a screech at the Kamala Harris event.
So I'll deal with the first question and then the second one. First of all, CBS, I'm vice president digital for the National Association of Black Journalists. And when we saw that photo, obviously we were alarmed and we immediately sent emails. I emailed David Rose, the president of CBS News, or the outgoing president. Susan Zirinsky is coming in. Our president, Sarah Glover, she reached out to Susan, and also our vice president for broadcast, Dorothy Tucker, reached out to Kim Godwin, who was a vice president who's also over diversity. We also have a couple of things. You have the number 2 person at CBS News who's African American. The managing editor of the Washington, D.C. Bureau is African American as well. So CBS has told us that this list isn't the final list. The problem is that's the way they made it seem by releasing that graphic. And so there are those of us who are saying, if it's not final, why did you release this graphic? And so they certainly realize there's a problem. But this also speaks to, let's just be real frank, the whiteness of political reporting in this country. If you want to go to the White House, it's the White House. That's the name of it, but also called the White House Press, the White House White Press Corps. When you look at those who cover Capitol Hill, the reality is African Americans are not provided the same level of opportunities, the tap on the shoulder that you see all across the place. We also know that the people who are campaign embeds also go on to become White House correspondents or other significant positions. And that's why this is important. So CBS realizes they have a problem. They're certainly going to address this. And let me deal with the Washington Post deal. So a lot of people have been making a big deal out of this, saying, oh my God, she said screech. Look, there's a lot of white folks don't have anything about black people, okay? Who also don't understand the nuances of black sororities and fraternities. And so I saw the tweet. I saw when she deleted it. I actually responded to her tweet saying, look, frankly, it's no big deal. But here's what I appreciate. I appreciate that she went, okay, I didn't know. Now I'm educated about it. And that's the case. And so it is not surprising that we live in a world that things that happen within a black context, white folks don't have any clue about. That's called the history of America. And so she didn't get defensive. She didn't get all ticked off. She simply said, hey, I didn't know. And so there you go. And so, look, I think that it is important that we do have African Americans who are in critical positions. So I can go all the way back to 1984 and 88 when Reverend Jackson ran in 84. That was really the first time you had African Americans who were covering presidential campaigns. So black candidates have made a difference. His run in 84, his run in 88, that really changed African Americans for mainstream. You always had folks in the black press who were covering presidential campaigns. And so I think the fundamental issue we have here, though, is that mainstream media does not want to acknowledge its whiteness. When you look in the executive suites of these networks, of these digital operations, of these newspapers, guess what? It's mighty white and it's mighty male, and that's the problem. Mainstream media in America does not look like America, which is why they often screw things up in this country, which is also why that the comment by a freshman congresswoman from Detroit using the word MF towards Trump got 5 times more coverage than white supremacist Steve King. Let's see how media today covers Donald Trump tweeting a white supremacist column by white supremacist Pat Buchanan. And again, that's the blind spot of these media executives because frankly, they don't see it because they don't understand it.
You know, it's fascinating that you brought that up because I was actually, that was going to be my next question. Unfortunately, we don't have time, but I will say that I predict that they will not make a big deal out of Trump advancing this white nationalist friendly websites rhetoric and all that. But Roland, thank you so much for joining us. Fascinating to talk to you. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future to help break down more politics.
Glad to join you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.